Hey, tough and the out of this world story from Street Travel. There are ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back in Street Travel. I am your host Manir.
Story 1. Update. Am I the a-hole for refusing to walk my daughter down the aisle? Original post. My daughter, 26 female, and I haven't spoken in years. When she was 15, we found out she wasn't my biological daughter, and my wife had cheated on me years ago with a friend. As it turns out, this so-called friend was suddenly interested in playing dad. My wife and I divorced. My daughter learned the truth, and I told her I still loved her no matter what. Of course she was interested in now getting to know her biological father, and while it did hurt, I tried to accept that. She started pulling away from me after that. Even when trying to still do things together as a family, she was no longer interested. The last straw was when she was 20 and living at my house. We were arguing because she had dropped out of her college courses, hadn't done anything for 3 months, and was mad because I told her that she either needed to go to school or work if she wanted to stay here for free. She told me that I'm not her real dad, to stop pretending like I am, and she'll just go stay with her real father. That broke me, honestly. But I told her if that's how she really feels, then there's really nothing left to say between us, and she did move out to go live with him. I was depressed for a very long time because I drank too much. My son, 24 male, was the only reason to keep moving forward. For the first couple of years I reached out to my daughter. She wanted no contact. I learned to accept that, and I moved on. It helped me to find more peace in my life. My son stopped talking to her for a while over this, and was angry with her. They still chat sometimes, which doesn't bother me at all. Through him, I learned her biological father died in October of 2019. Also, that she's engaged. She reached out to me first and said that she knows that we haven't talked in a while, but wants to ask me if I'd be willing to walk her down the aisle. After a pretty long message about how much she hurt me in the past with her actions, I told her no. She didn't want me to be her father anymore, so I learned to no longer view her as my daughter. This turned into a fight between us because, according to her, it's not her fault she wanted to know her real dad. And I agreed with her it's not. But what was her fault was how she treated me ever since. In my mind, I know if he hadn't passed, we wouldn't even be speaking right now. It ended with telling her I hope she enjoys her wedding, but I want no part of it or her life. My son told me she's ranting to my family that I'm ruining her day. She thought parents are supposed to love their kids unconditionally. Seemed to think that now I'm being in a hole and this is my chance to be in her life again, but I have no interest in that. Still seems everyone has a strong opinion on it, that I'm making it difficult for my daughter to have a wedding she wants when it would mean a lot to her. My son is on my side, but the comments are still wearing me down, and just for the sake of my sanity am I being an asshole? Now for the top of comments before reading the update. Not a hole. She decided that you're not her father in any capacity. You've respected that. Now that the other guy is dead, she doesn't get to change the rules. She doesn't want you. She wants someone to play a part. Maybe your son can be the one to give her away instead. Or her mom can walk her down the aisle. Maybe, but he's already said that he's not going to the wedding. Not over this, he just doesn't want to. Don't know what his response would be if she asked him. They're not close despite talking every now and then. She can have her mom do it. My so lost her father when she was young due to a disease. She's having her mom walk her down the aisle. It doesn't have to be your father, just someone important in your life, which she deemed you weren't when she cut contact. You're not ruining her day by saying no. She is by making this a much bigger issue than it needed to be. It doesn't have to be your father. It doesn't have to be anyone. A bride can legit walk down by herself. I have a friend with a living father, stepfather, and 4 uncles. She walked alone. One of her uncles asked what the heck she was thinking, saying she was going to walk alone, and her reply was something to the effect that this isn't the dark ages where she belongs to her husband, so she doesn't need an escort, and her dad had no problem with that. Now for the update. Tons happened after my post and since my edit. I tried calling and texting Marie, but she rejected my calls. Eventually, I was able to talk to my ex, who told me Marie wasn't in the position to talk since I put a lot of stress on her and could be dangerous because of her pregnancy. I didn't want to cause more harm, so I stopped bothering her. But I did let my ex know that I felt horrible and wanted to apologize. She once again called me out on my BS, but agreed to talking to her. On Tuesday, she finally answered my text and agreed on talking, but only over the phone and with her mom there. Of course, I agreed, and we had a long but productive talk. As a lot of you guessed, she has been bottling up a lot of resentment towards me and Julie's relationship and opened up about how she always felt left out and pushed away. She actually told me several events I wasn't aware of between her, Julie, and my wife. I apologized profusely and offered to walk her down, and surprisingly she accepted my apology, but said she isn't ready to accept me to walk her down at this time since now the thought of it makes her mad and sad. I understood but insisted that I will if she asked again. We agreed of me meeting her fiancé as many of you suggested. It'll be later in the week on Sunday. Turns out they've been dating for almost 2 years. She never thought I'd care if she never introduced us, and I never stopped to ask about her love life. She is still hurt but is trying to stay stress-free, so I will try to keep it that way. She didn't ask for anything else but didn't uninvite me either, luckily. I did offer to go to therapy, but she said that she's already going but agreed on looking on the possibility of going together. As for Julie and my wife, I talked to them earlier today. I held on telling them to sort things out with Marie first. I sat them down and confronted them about how they had treated Marie. My wife didn't say much and said that she didn't have time or energy for that conversation. Julie denied everything, which of course I don't believe. Then I dropped the bomb and everything exploded. My wife asked why I'm babying my daughter and allowing her to bully me into changing my mind. I couldn't help but laugh seeing the irony. She ended up being fed up and leaving the room. Julie got mad immediately and asked me why I was ruining her special day and everything we worked for. Not going to lie, I did feel sad seeing her upset, but I let her know her wedding and walking is still happening. She started crying and stayed in her room all day until now. My wife is currently ignoring me, and I'll probably have to sleep in the guest room. As for now, I'm looking forward to being there for both my daughters and future grandchild. I know Julie will eventually get over it. She tends to be like this. So Reddit, thank you again for helping me see the dumbass I was and helping me to maybe salvage my relationship with my daughter. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my ex-wife on my family trip, this time after what happened last time? Me 50 male, ex 51 female, and I were together for 10 years before we got divorced when our daughter 5 female was a year old. We had what I would say a fairly amicable divorce and stayed very close afterwards. For many reasons I became our daughter's primary parent, but we do share custody. For 3 years we've gone on vacations together. Usually cruises are all-inclusive. It's been fun for us to spend time together and fun for our daughter to have both of her parents together. Last year, though, I refer to in my head as the incident the whole trip. We went on a 10-day cruise, and she was drunk the whole time. There were several incidents of her behaving extremely poorly on one excursion. She got so drunk I had to carry her back onto the ship. It was basically having acquired a second drunk child. This was stressful and on numerous occasions really upset or scared our daughter. This year I booked a Disney cruise and I explained to my daughter that it was just going to be her and I this time. I told her we would do a different preferred activity with mommy a couple of times this summer. She was happy. Next part was telling my ex. I initially said, direct copy and paste, hey, so this year I decided to do something a little different for vacation with our daughter. I will be taking her on a cruise from such and such time, just the two of us, but I thought it would be fun to do a few beach weekends and maybe a Universal trip this summer. When she got upset and demanded to know why I would do this, I told her her behavior on the last trip, which she did know our daughter had been upset about, had made me not want to invite her this time. She said I was being in a hole for not inviting her and being uptight about fun on vacation that hadn't hurt anyone, and I should give her another chance. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top of advice, not the a-hole. She seems unable or unwilling to accept responsibility for her actions. Calling you uptight and saying she hadn't heard anyone? Maybe tell her next chance can be on the beach weekends where she can show that she can act like an adult/mom in front of her daughter. I'm definitely going to use this language, thank you. It can be a little hard because she does have a hard time being the responsible party. When we had her daughter and we had tried for years to do fertility treatments, I knew it was time to settle down. She's a good mom but didn't really get the full memo, you know? Not a whole. If she didn't get the memo regarding being a parent, that means she is in fact not a good mom. Please stop defending her poor decisions. Her reaction to not being on this trip is that her actions last time didn't hurt anyone, but that's only because you were there to care for her. Should you not have been there to save her from herself and she had been injured, do you truly believe she would suddenly be more responsible, or would there just be more excuses and deflection? Also, her actions did hurt someone, her daughter. The daughter was scared and upset by her mother's actions. That's enough reason to not bring her again, not the whole. Her actions hurt Op too. He was unable to share quality time with his daughter on vacation and was put under the stress of caring for an adult who chose to become intoxicated to incapacitation and having to sue the scared and upset daughter. She also caused financial harm to Op. He spent money for an experience that he didn't get to enjoy solely due to her actions. It's also doubtful my daughter has gotten over this. It's a big shift to a kid's reality that a parent isn't a person they're safe to be with. Imagine how she feels under her mom's custody when she has to rely on her unreliable mom. I have a 10-year-old nephew that gets really upset being around people who are drinking because his dad gets drunk and unpredictable. What mom did, getting so wasted she was belligerent or couldn't walk with her child, there to witness is child abuse. Also, divorce means you don't have to clean up after your lush ex-spouse anymore. Insulate the child when possible, sure, but you don't have to take them on vacation with you where you know they'll act like a fool and make you be responsible for them.